teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of signs, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar signs. Try and take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Got it in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
Hey, what's up and welcome to a Thursday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Oakley here. We got CJ over there in the bear cave and we got EB in the man cave. So we're good to go here on this Thursday. When today, gentlemen, on this day in sports history, January 27th, according to the regular calendar, and unfortunately we're trying to get our live page updated. We forgot what day it was. It's not the 26th anymore, so getting that updated as we speak. In 1989, on this day in sports history, Kevin Johnson of the Phoenix Suns begins an NBA free throw streak of 57 games. 57 games. Now, I don't know what that means. I didn't do enough research into this, so that's on me. But does that mean he had one free throw made for 57 games, or did he not miss a free throw for 57 games? EB, that's probably more up your alley.
I remember, I think he didn't miss for 57 games. Because the next,
Holy shnikes.
like, maybe, I don't know if Steph was close, where they got to like 30 or 31 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but, I mean, you got to figure, nonetheless, you're shooting a minimum one free throw. That's still 57 made free throws in a row. It's if you're going by games, but I'm pretty sure he made free throws in 57 consecutive games.
And he had the most free throws made in a single game in what was this? This would have been 1990. So it makes me wonder, EB, and you'll be able to answer this. Now, as an announcer, I always say it, and it's almost like every time somebody goes to the free throw line, you have to make your free throws. That's why they call them free. From a coach's standpoint, how important are free throws?
The case in point, I can take you back to last Saturday. That's, I mean, that's the most recent, but look at how many games are won and lost within, we'll say, 6 to 7 points. And if you shoot, we'll say, on a minimum of 10 free throws a game, if you go 4 of 10, 40%, and you lose by 6, that's everything. Or, if you win by 4, but you only shot 4 of 10, you could have won by 10 easily to where you have a little bit more breathing room. It goes both ways, whichever way you look at it. It's a free throw, but it's probably the toughest shot because it's not how I'm going to say this is going to sound weird. It's a natural shot because you're still using your form, but it's not natural because when you shoot a jump shot, it's so much quicker and you have more rhythm. And if you watch a lot of kids who shoot free throws, they come to a complete standstill, then they load, then they shoot, opposed to really just keeping a lot of momentum going. Like I preach to our girls, think of like a reverse waterfall. You want the momentum always, and then you just want to go straight up into it. You don't want to slow everything down because that's where, well, when you go slower, just in really anything in life, really, you start to see errors and you accumulate errors. You want it to be more natural than you do the form. And people say it's your form, and then you just got to change a lot of thought process.
Reverse waterfall.
It's so waterfall always goes down. Think of it coming up.
Like a sprinkler.
If you're a shooter, you're always going up. You want it to go up. You want the fluidity, more or less.
Gotcha.
But
I thought that was like a real thing, like a reverse waterfall. I've never seen that, so I wasn't trying to question you. I was just trying to, for my own understanding. I'm sitting there like, is that a real thing?
I mean, you think a waterfall is always going down,
yeah.
So a waterfall, it's coming back up to where you're starting in more of an athletic stance and you're coming up and finishing high.
It made me think of the song, "Baby, are you down, 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 down?"
Oh, I was thinking Waterfalls by TLC.
But don't go chasing them.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, man.
CJ, do you ever think about free throws? Like, I think about them all the time. I never played competitive basketball. I was always the guy that was, street ball or rec ball. Never in a game did I shoot a real free throw. Have you ever thought about what that must be like?
Well, it would probably have to be very nerve-wracking. I would think all eyes are on you in that one situation, right? So the only time I ever threw or shot a free throw, I was in 5th grade in a travel ball league, and that's the only time I ever played basketball, and I don't remember what that feeling was like. So I really can't. I would imagine, though, it's very nerve-wracking.
Hold on, can you say that again? So you were in 5th grade and it's not affecting your life now? I just want some parents to hear this, that 5th grade.
No, when I was in 5th grade, believe it or not, making a travel ball league didn't matter to where I am right now.
What?
You ended up okay, right? You ended up okay.
Ended up okay.
College graduate.
And believe it or not, we won a championship too, and nobody asks about it.
You mean, wait a minute, the NBA didn't call and ask for that roster?
No. Nope.
Son of a gun. It's a unicorn, EB. It's a unicorn.
Look, I think the only thing that's the NBA jealous of right now, James Harden might be jealous of CJ's beard, but it's...
CJ, by the way, I want to apologize for all the bear jokes because I got home late the other night. I sat down. I ate late, so I'm not going to go to bed right after I ate dinner. I flip on The Revenant. And it was right as there was a bear attack. I've never seen it.
It's a great movie.
No more bear jokes, number one. I'm terrified of them now. Like, to hell with that. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
No more bear jokes. And then number two, I think I actually own the movie, and I never even took the shrink wrap off the DVD. So I'm going to have to do that because now I'm interested. Yeah. But no more bear jokes. Because you were the first person I thought of. I was like, CJ! That bear messed that guy up.
Oh, it's gruesome. That what is it, like 5-minute sequence there? It's rough to watch, but it's such a good movie.
He shot it in the neck, and it still didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
And then, spoiler alert, he
those
stabbed
things
it.
Are crazy.
Dude, I take back wanting to fight a bear. Like Kelly Pavlik said straight up, he would fight a bear over a bunch of wolves. I'm taking the wolves every time. Because, I mean, he beat the hell out of the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, poor Jordan Belfort's going all over the place. That was rough, but that's the sidecars. So I apologize. You came to mind, and I never was able to because I think it happened on Tuesday night, and I didn't see you yesterday, so I had to bring that to your attention today. So If you're ever in a situation where you're gonna fight a bear, just die. Just go. Like, don't
Get
even
out.
run.
Yep.
Just die.
Well, that's what they say is if a bear's attacking you, play dead. Like, actually, like if it's gnawing at you or whatever.
Oh, I wouldn't play.
Play dead.
I'd have a heart attack.
That's the only way you'll survive. Is just play dead.
And I'll one up that. I will never ever go back in the woods. Like, I'm done. After seeing that's worse than a scary movie. Like, if Z throws a ball in the woods, it's gone, man. It's gone. I'll go buy you another ball. If there's a bear in my woods, I'm done. It was terrifying, guys. It left a mark on me, and I'm not even exaggerating. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Like, no jokes, no more bear jokes. Speaking of the Bears, guess who gets to go cover the Clippers and the Bears tonight? Right here. So I have to pass that giant bear that they have on the stand.
You're going to have PTSD from now on.
Kat, I'm not joking with you. Like, my life was changed by watching The Revenant. I've never seen a bear attack something like that.
When DJ's in a fetal position sucking his thumb in Watonia High School, we now know
what he's thinking.
Everybody's gonna wonder why, and I'm just gonna say, go watch The Revenant. Go watch it. A lot of stuff to talk about today. Two major issues that I really want to discuss, because we are getting a lot of I guess requests for things to talk about, just because we try to keep it real on this show, and I know parents and student athletes alike do like watching this, because they like the perspective, as well as people that sit in active sports positions. So the first thing we're going to talk about today, guys, what goes into a decision to play sports after high school? I can only speak from my own experience, but I'm interested to hear from not only you guys, but the people out in the bleacher creatures, and hear like what went into their decision to play or not play sports after high school. I guess or not should probably be in there as well. So for me, and I'll just kick this off if you guys are all right with that, I wasn't ready to be done. It was as simple as that. Like, I loved baseball. Like, it was my love, my passion, my reason for being. I dedicated so much time and effort to it. Just absolutely loved it, because I worked hard at it. I devoted myself to it, and I got to be pretty decent at it. And I wasn't ready to give it up. I felt like I had a lot more to give. And then you get there, then you get to that next level, and it's not like high school. And I think that's the difference is these parents, these kids, student athletes, everybody thinks that it's a natural transition from high school to college or high school to the next level, and it's just not. It's a completely different ball game. We've talked about it on the show several times before. From going to high school to college, it's like going from a part-time position to a full-time position. Like, we take high school sports pretty serious around here, but in college, those coaches aren't there because they're teachers first and coaches second. It's just something to do to stay involved. Those guys and gals are graded on their win-loss records, on their success rate of their kids graduating college, and things of that nature. So there's a lot that goes into it. So from my perspective, I just wanted to continue playing baseball, because it's what I knew, it's what I loved. But if 37, soon to be 37-year-old DJ could go back and talk to 18-year-old DJ, he would list a little bit more expectations for what you're going to find, when you go into that next level. From your standpoint, EB, you get to deal with these high school student athletes on a daily basis. Some of these girls have ambitions to go on and play at the next level. Do you set expectations for them? Do they listen? And what do you try to do to gear them up so that way they're not completely, bushwhacked at the next level?
You just gotta paint the picture. I mean, it's their experience, number one. So in order for that, you got to take the steps to get them in the right positions. One, if they want to play in college, to be in that position, which is a lot of times going to showcase or emailing and contacting coaches, kind of combing their social media, seeing what they're doing, teaching them how to really gel up an email and just put themselves in that position. But then, ultimately, I always tell them the decision's yours, and you're probably going to know where or what place is the right place just by the feeling. But you gotta get there and experience it too. You gotta ask questions. You have to, do more than just taking a visit. Maybe go catch out a game, because these guys chase your ass all around this country. If in basketball or softball or baseball, and you get to see that part of them to where they're coming after you, and then you might get to catch a game or two, and coach mode is a little bit different than coaching practice, so you don't know what it's like in their 40, 60, 80 hour work week, to where they can be a great coach, and a lot of them are, but you don't always see the expectations that they have of their players. And like you said, this is your full-time job now. Whether you're D3, D2, D1, NAIA, JUCO, a college athlete is a college athlete to me. If you go D3 or D1, you're still the top 3% of the 100 million people in the United States, and probably more than that, because you throw in Canada and Europe and how they recruit internationally now. I mean, you're probably more like a 1.5%. So a lot of times it's just putting them in a position to have those conversations, and a lot of times those conversations are the icebreaker, where I think they start to get to realize and see what all goes into it. And there's a big misconception, and maybe it's an old school way of thinking, that if I'm good, they're gonna come find me. Unfortunately, it's not like that anymore. I don't know if it ever was, but I didn't live in the 70s, so I can't tell you. Like with AAU tournaments and baseball showcases and softball and JO and everything, these coaches can go to one tournament and see 15,000 kids in an instant. So you got to put in a little work and do your due diligence as well, just to see what it is. And that's what those guys want to see too, because then it lets them know, hey, this person's actually kind of serious, and you could be the person that, look, I tell people all the time, if you're from, I told this to, couple players, you're from Grand Valley, Ohio, or Grand Valley High School in Orwell, Ohio. I go, outside of you being my AAU player, I have no clue where the hell that is. And when, you start to talk to some of these other people, they have no clue where the hell that is. So, sometimes you have to reach out and show interest and let them decide. I go, just those emails. Look, I promise you, every college basketball coach that I talk to, you send those emails or those recruiting forms, there's a set of eyes on it. And sometimes you just need to follow up. And high school kids don't always understand the rules of colleges. D3, a little bit more leeway, but if you're a good D2, D1, something like that, they can only respond to you in certain time frames as well. So I think the first part is just prepping them on what to do, and then I think once you start to do that, they start to see it's not just hey, I'm good, they're gonna find me.
CJ, as the assistant baseball coach over at Beaver, I'm sure and with the success you've had, especially with these young men, a lot of them probably want to play at that next level, whether it's D3, D2, JUCO, D1, whatever they can get at that point. How are you preparing them for the expectations? Because we'll talk about it later in the show. Everybody seemingly thinks that they can hack at D1 until you see a D1 player, and then you quickly realize either your ego is much too big to admit that you belong somewhere else, that you could actually play and compete, or you realize, oh my goodness, like maybe playing at the next level isn't for me. What do you tell you guys, and how do you prep them?
So I think that, first off, if you have any ambition on playing at the college level, you have to first and foremost truly love the game. And I mean just love every aspect of it, not just playing the game, but love watching the game, love being around teammates, love, the culture of being on a team. Because even if you're on that team, right, You may not play ever. You may just be the one bullpen piece that they needed, or the extra base runner that they needed for, a big spot late in the game. When you get to that level, it's so different. This is just me talking. I was of the belief, and I still sort of am, that if you're not really a starter at the high school level and you still want to keep playing, I think you're wasting your time. And that's not me coming at anybody. That's just me talking. I think, because it's different, right? You're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning doing workouts, right? You're doing homework sessions, right? When we say it's a full-time job, like, that's no joke. Like, that is a full-time gig that you're trying to get into. And I think another mistake that some high schoolers will make is they look at schools just for the sports, just for the athletics of it. And I think that's a big time mistake, because while the athletics may be great and you may have an opportunity at that school, the school may not just be the right fit for you, right? The classes may be difficult. You may have picked the major you didn't really like, but at least you could play baseball or whatever sport you're playing, right? There comes a time, and this was the hardest thing for me. There comes a time when you do have to hang up the cleats. And that was such a difficult thing for me to kind of grasp, because I tried out for the YSU team my freshman year, and they very respectfully told me no, because I was a good lefty pitcher. They said, no, we don't need a lefty pitcher at this time, but thank you for your consideration. I said, okay, well, and then I went home and I was in tears. I wasn't happy. I didn't like it, but I came to the realization, okay, that's it. I'm done. I can't play no more. Right. And it's a tough realization for a lot of kids, but there's a lot of factors that obviously go into it. You can, just for the love of it. And I think that's the biggest thing, DJ, is you got to really love the sport and love the atmosphere it brings, and just being a teammate. You may not be the starter. You probably won't be a starter, but just if you love that and you have the talent, that's what I always tell my kids. If you love the sport and you have the talent, try it. See the worst they can say is no.
I think to back that up though too is, you not only do you have to love the sport, have the talent, the atmosphere, and everything that comes, you have to love with being uncomfortable. Like, that's a huge part, and kids do not understand that. Like, you can be a great high school player because you're athletically just gifted, but uncomfortable is waking up at 4 a.m. Uncomfortable is doing homework, after your second or third workout. That's what college is. So you have to love being uncomfortable, and you have to appreciate every part of the process.
And we had, DJ, sorry to cut in, but we've had a number of students go on to play at the next level. I've also seen a couple kids that had to transfer out because the situation wasn't what they thought it would be. They didn't succeed academically that first semester, right? And that's when I say you can't make the mistake of thinking you're going to college to play sports. You're going to college to get an education, right? Unless you have ambitions of playing a major league for the majors, right? You're going there for the education, for that piece of paper at the end of the day.
The pressures nowadays are ridiculous, though. I mean, you look at, we're as guilty as anybody else. I'll be quite honest with you. When it comes to signing days and things of that nature, you're getting preferred walk-ons. You're getting, I had a hard time, and I know people still do have a hard time with, like, preferred walk-ons having signing days. Like, yes, you're signing on to be on the team. However, nothing is guaranteed. It's not a scholarship. It's not anything. You're signing up for a chance at that point. And I respect the hell out of that, because you're rolling the dice on yourself. And I think that's phenomenal. But like people are giving us grief, and I'm glad they give it to us because I would feel bad if they give it to these kids. Because as a D3 athlete, if somebody told me that D3 doesn't mean anything, I would have told them to go stick it where the sun don't shine. And I still feel like telling those people that because there's a lot of work, just as much work, I would argue, if not more, because you're paying to play for that privilege to play. I don't like when people sit there and go, shame on them for promoting themselves to go be a Division III athlete or Division II athlete. Like Division I athlete, that is special, right? And it should be absolutely commended and noted that you're a D1 athlete. But any time, I mean, what is it, 7% of high school athletes go on to play at the next level, at any level, D3, JUCO, D2, or D1. So I really get a bug up my you-know-what whenever people are sitting there going, oh, D3, anybody can go play D3. Go try it. Go try it. See how it works out for you. That's my thing. It's like D3 is not a joke. You know, go tell Mount Union that D3 champions mean nothing. Like, go do that. See how that goes. And the 200 dudes that sign up every year to put their bodies, minds, and resources through the ringer will beat the living hell out of you. You know what I mean? So, like, I just, it's funny to me that people look down on anybody that wants to go and go get educated at the next level and better themselves, even if they never play. CJ, like you said, if they never play, they just want to be a teammate, you know? That's okay. Everybody needs a high five when they come into the dugout, you know, whether it's a good outing or a bad outing. Same with basketball. You know, sometimes it's a little tougher in basketball. You know, you might be a practice player. It might be a Rudy situation where you're a practice player for 3-4 years before you actually get a jersey. But there's people that do that, and you have to respect and commend those people. And I'm not saying everybody should get a participation ribbon, but at the same time, those people are getting a pretty damn good education wherever they go, and they're trying to better themselves and give themselves a leg up for the rest of their lives after the first 18 years of just being sports. So it's all interesting takes. So where do you think the pressures come from nowadays? Do the pressures come from the kids themselves? Is it keeping up with the Joneses? Is it the parents wanting to either just have their kids better at sports and keeping up with the Joneses that, okay, I had my kid go through, 12 years, better or worse, of basketball or baseball or football or whatever the sport is. They owe it to me to play at the next level because of all the time that I've given to them? Or is it coaches saying, well, my kids, if none of my kids go to the next level, I'm just coaching a bunch of nobodies, you know? You look at Kirtland. One kid went to play at JCU last year. Kirtland won the state championship for like the 70th time in a row. But you look at it, Tiger Laverty doesn't care. He knows that he's in it for the character of the kids. But there's coaches I know that at the end of the day, if they don't have anybody going, they feel disappointed. And I think that's a bad way to go. So where are these pressures coming from? Yeah, we'll start this time with you, CJ. Where do you think the pressures are kind of manifesting from?
I don't know. I think there's something to be said maybe about, parents, they want their kids to, play at the next level. Maybe it'll help them out financially, whatever it may be. I have a hard time seeing coaches being really the pressure givers because I think your ego has to be pretty freaking through the roof to think, oh, my job requires me to get, how many kids I have playing college ball. For me, isn't
that a question though? Like some coaches get asked, how many kids do you have going to play college? I hear it all the time.
Maybe it was never asked to us though. I can only speak for myself.
Sure.
We've never been asked that. But I think more coaches prefer, they just want their kids to succeed at whatever they do at the next level. That's at least my take on it, is whether they go to college. Like I'm not a big guy on you have to go to college, you have to get a college education. No, you can go to, a technical school, you can get a trade, you don't have to. My cousin, he was a terrific basketball player at East Palestine before he tore his ACL. He's playing at CCBC right now at community college.
It's my dog, man. That's
He's playing at CCBC right now, right? But he probably, if he put forth the effort, he could have gone to wherever he wanted. But
I'm sorry.
I just think as long as your kids succeed, that's all coaches really want, at least from my standpoint. And thank your dog for screwing the whole thing up.
dude, my fault, man. That was. He's 14. What the hell can I do? He doesn't. Holy shit! Like, I don't know, man. It's just my fault. My fault, CJ.
EB, where does the push come from, I guess?
Well, I think a little bit everywhere. You can't necessarily just point the finger at one. From a basketball standpoint, I've heard coaches say, "Well, I have so many coaches or so many players going to college, this and that." Like, if that's what you're in it for, then you're not setting them up for success, though. Like, so you're kind of a part of their journey, and at least that's how I take it. Like, now I'll have conversations with some of my girls and be like, all right, what do you want to study? Have you checked out their programs? Have you looked into this? You want to be a nurse? Okay, so you're going to limit, these schools down to this school or these couple schools. But pressures come from everywhere. I think some of it sometimes is parents have a hard time not living through their kids. And just because, you might have an athletically gifted kid does not mean they're the next LeBron James. Or, you hear all the time, parents will be like, I'm going to have a conversation with my kid. She's a really good, such and such athlete. She might have to give this up or that up because she has a really good chance to go to, D1. Well, have you had a conversation with your kid? Does she even want to do that? Is that, something that she truly wants to do? So sometimes it's a lot of communication when it comes between the parents and the kid, because I feel like kids are afraid to let their parents know. There he is. Pack a dog. But I think parents are afraid kids are afraid to let their parents down, but I think you get pressures from coaches too, where they sit there and say, well, you're a college athlete. Now, I'll sit there and I'll tell some of my athletes, hey, I was talking to a college coach about you. They really are impressed with this. This is what they like. If this is an avenue or this is something that you want to do, let me know and we'll take the proper steps. But, it's not in everyone's wheelhouse. I know multiple great players who went on to play the next level, and I know multiple great players who just said, I just want to go be a kid, or I want to go be a college student and work towards this, or I'm going to go get in the trades. By all means, please go get in the trades, because you're going to make $80K in probably the next 3 years. Yeah. And so the pressures come from everywhere, but some of it is also ignorance from all parts, because you have to understand that world a little bit too. Like, you don't need to sign up for a recruiting service because you think it's going to get you ahead. A lot of stuff's a money grab. You can do this stuff yourself on Huddle. You can sit there, you can gel up an email. Hell, I have emails gelled up that I generally just copy and paste and give to people and say, here, insert your stuff, make it sound like you, and you're good to go. Yeah, that's what it really comes down to.
Interesting stuff, guys. After we take a break, we are going to talk. Naturally, the next step is we have to talk about divisions. Does it matter what division you go to? Yes? No? Maybe? All of that and more coming up on the Ysn Power Hour, as well as, of course, your Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? All that and more coming up in just a few minutes on the Ysn Power Hour.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. A tweet from Tom Brady earlier today, and as most of you know, Ben Roethlisberger officially making it official, I guess, on his website that he is retiring after 18 years as a Pittsburgh Steeler, the longest tenured quarterback, I believe, to be on a team for that long in NFL history. So, but the tweet from Tom Brady, which I got a kick out of, says, Ben defied the TB12 method in favor of the, quote, throw some ice on it method his whole career, and ended up with an all-time great with 6 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowls, and says there's more than one way to bake a cake. And I think that's perfect for what we're talking about today, boys, is we're talking about, you know, the pressures of going from high school to college and being a college athlete. There's more than one way to bake a cake, and I think that you can't say it any better than that, because you look at the way some of the ways that people have got it done over the years. But one of the things I want to focus on right now is just the natural importance or unimportance of what division you play in college, because this is the argument that just continues to go around the carousel over and over and over. We talked about it just a tiny bit to start off the show, but when you look at when somebody signs somewhere to play whatever sport it is at the next level, what's your first impression? What's the first thing you look for? Do you look for where they're going? And if it's D1, does it impress you more than if it's D2 or JUCO or D3? And this is complete honesty. You can be honest. It's a safe place here, boys. So CJ, when you hear about somebody going to the next level, do you look there first? I do. I'll be honest.
I guess, because why wouldn't you? If you go to one of these big schools like, whatever, I'll use like Pitt for an example, just around here. There's a difference between being a starter at Pitt and, being a bench guy at IUP. Just no offense to IUP, there is a difference though. But I'm one that, like, listen, I said it earlier in the show, if you love the sport, if you love the atmosphere, being on a team, I don't think it should really matter to you whether or not it's D1 or what D3 or JUCO or whatever it is. If you truly love it, you got to be willing to, bite the ego a little bit. Say, listen, I'm not going to be a D1 player. Maybe I am good enough for D3, and that's fine, right? Then not everybody can not everybody has that ability, and they're very selective, the Vanderbilts and the LSUs and the whoever it may be. But if you truly love the sport, it shouldn't matter what level you go to.
This all comes back to, and I don't, if you recall, a few years ago, ESPN always did the Senior Bowl or whatever it was in high school, and the kids could, pick their hat or tell them where they were going to go across the country. A lot of the D1s were doing this, and the one young man, came down to Alabama and LSU, and he had his whole family around him, and the sports reporter asked, it's time that you kind of let everybody know where you go. And he's from Louisiana, and he picks Alabama. And, the mother was so pissed off that he didn't stay, at LSU in Louisiana. And she's sitting there going, Louisiana's home, baby, go LSU. And her son is going to Alabama. And I feel like, and this isn't often, but I feel like nowadays that's acceptable behavior. When your kid doesn't go to where you want them to go. If they go where the best fit is for them at that time, whether it's just for a semester or if it's for their whole collegiate career, they're an adult at that point. They have to make that decision. And, some people, I've seen pictures where I look at it and I go, they are not happy that kid is going to D3 or the kid is going to D2 or chose D2 over D1 because they can go and play and get a good education for a cheaper cost, as opposed to going to D1. Maybe they're not getting a scholarship. Most people don't realize that baseball players don't get full scholarships. Very, very, very rarely do baseball players get full scholarships. In fact, I think they get like 75% is the highest, and then the rest can be applied to their grades for scholarships otherwise. So you look at that, and like I just remember growing up thinking that when people talked about baseball scholarships, it's like there was one scholarship. Either it's a full ride or no ride. You know what I mean? So, EB, when you look at that, like, are we living in the age of this guy? Like with the phones and they're doing it for self-absorbed purposes, for those announcements and for the parents and things of that nature?
Yeah, but we also set the standard that way. Like, you remember being in 5th grade, everyone told you had to go to college to be successful. You had to go to college to be successful. You're doing the same thing. You have to go to D1 to be a great athlete. That's the biggest bullshit thing I've ever heard in the world. If you're D3, you're a good athlete. If you're D2, you're a good athlete. D1, good athlete. JUCO, good athlete. NAIA, good athlete. Because I know multiple in every facet of the game that I would take over a lot of people in this area right now. So we've set the standard ourselves, and what happened was this thing just blew it up because you got clout. And it's become a societal thing where you got the likes and people would share it, this and that. Ever since we were little, you were told you had to go to college to be successful. And now all of a sudden we're reverting and going, no, trades are very important. You can just get in the workforce. It's very important. You don't need a piece of paper because you can't replace experience. Same things happen to athletes to where, well, if you're not D1, you're not as good as the rest. Well, I'm pretty sure there's D3 people in the NBA. There's D3 people in MLB. There's D3 people in NFL. So division doesn't matter. Division is just what people started to look at to judge the level of success, but that doesn't correlate the level of success. Now, when you're getting recruited and you have 21 D3 letters saying, hey, we want you, and you go, no, I'm going to hang off because I think some D1s are after me. Well, you got to be honest with yourself. If all the letters you were getting are from D3, odds are you're a D3 player. Mm-hmm. That's not saying you're not a good player. That's just saying right now, a lot of it comes down to the difference between a D3 player and a D1 player sometimes is just size. You could be the best lineman in the world and be 5'7". Well, look, you can't teach 6'6". It's kind of what it is, So some of it there's different variables that come with it, but also we've fallen in love with, if you're not D1, you're a bust. I feel terrible for some of these high school kids. It's gonna get tougher because this transfer portal, the blue bloods, the Power Five, they don't got to recruit anymore. They're just opening up a web browser and saying, "Oh, he wants to come back to Texas. We'll take him." And now, who it's going to benefit will probably be your smaller MAC schools, your D1 AA's, because they're not going to get the bigger draws, but they're going to be able to recruit these high school kids, which I love, because hopefully, I'm not going to say it's going to equal the playing field, but it's going to get really, really competitive and just drive everything to where I think it's going to be more common. You see D1 AA's knock off a Power 5 or whatever it is, just because they're growing them within a system.
Well, and I think that if they were smart, and they are, because, well, let's face it, they're better at their job than I am at theirs as well. But I would say that you see these universities hiring people specifically to just monitor the transfer portal. That's it. That's their only job. Monitor the transfer portal and make sure that if there's any big names out there, that you show interest in them. So my thought immediately, EB, was, okay, this is almost the same as yours. Shouldn't the smaller schools, the D3s, the D2s, it used to be 1AA, whatever it is now, wouldn't it benefit them to go after some of these higher recruits and say, listen, we know that we're not the end game for you, but we can stash you for a year or two until you can go there. You can jump in the transfer. Like, it would be part of my pitch to be including that. Like, we're happy to keep you for 2 years. You show what you got, hop in that transfer portal, and you can go to a bigger school in the Power 5 or the MAC or wherever you want to go, where you get on on television every single night. If I'm the recruiter, that's part of my pitch. And every single time I'm going into somebody's house, like, yes, we understand that we're so-and-so state or so-and-so college or so-and-so university. However, you're going to play right off the jump. You're going to get a nice couple years to learn about college, to understand college a little better, and then you can make your jump. Like, it doesn't always have to be Final Destination. And I think it's greedy in today's college world to think that a kid is going to be at your school for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, anymore, it's very unlikely, because if you're that good, they're going to stay only 3 and jump to the NFL. But, that's probably more likely for local universities. Like if we have a blue chip recruit out of Youngstown, Ohio, that's probably a better sales pitch. Hey, look, I know you should be going to wherever, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame. Why don't you come get the taste of the experience, stay home, learn the waters a little bit, and then look, I'm friends with this guy over at Notre Dame or Cincinnati or wherever. I know this guy, so if you choose to do that, I can help you along the way. Now, I don't think that would ever happen, because this is all hypotheticals.
Sure.
But nonetheless, if it were, I'm sure it's being thought of. Or, hey, we were lucky to land this guy. Odds are he's probably only going to be here for a year or two, but let's make the most of it. Let's see what we can do. And you almost turn into like the JUCO of the Power 5.
I'm going to put a baseball right in your wheelhouse, CJ, because yesterday it was determined that Aliquippa will remain a 4A team as opposed to going 5A. Now, the question that I'm asking you guys because this is the one that bothers me more than anything, and this is the college's fault and the recruiter's fault, is there's a laziness to a recruiter or a coach or whoever it is on their staff that says, well, we like you, but we don't like who you play. We can't get a good grip on the level of competition that you're competing against because you're blowing everybody out of the water. So a couple years ago, and I hope to not make any waves here, but Logan Bell was a phenomenal talent in baseball here. I mean, just absolutely dominated his junior year. I mean, he was just an absolute lights-out pitcher for Lisbon. And the big knock on Logan was he didn't play anybody, right? I don't understand how that's the player's fault and how he should be have a check mark against him for not playing anybody when he doesn't hold the keys to the schedule. He doesn't get to administer how many kids go to the school, so what division they play in and things of that nature. Does that bark up the wrong tree for you as well whenever you hear a coach say, well, we couldn't get a good grasp on them because they played in such and such a division against such and such competition? When you look at Aliquippa, I don't think that argument really holds water.
No, not at all, because that division was strong. And, anybody that spent 20 minutes looking at the teams they played, they're pretty good teams, right? I'm not going to toot Beaver's horn, but they were 8-2, right? Nobody expected Beaver to be 8-2 this year, but they figured out a way to win, and they were a good team. That division is very good, and Blackhawk and Aliquippa, their next 2 years is going to get even tougher because now they're adding Central Valley in it, and Central Valley is right there with Aliquippa with the best football program in Beaver County. And I mean, if you spend what bothered me was who they tried pairing Aliquippa with. And it's ridiculous to ask Aliquippa, a school of 250 kids total, to go up against a Penn Trafford, like a Pine Richland, kids with 1,200, they got 1,200 plus kids. What it came down to for me was health. I mean, God's sakes, they got 25 kids on their roster. They're playing both sides of the ball every game. You have these schools that they expected them to go up against with 80 kids on their team.
It's Westminster versus Penn State.
Yeah, right, exactly. You could pick whoever you wanted for your lineup of 22 defense offense. I mean, it was ridiculous on the outset. I'm glad that because mostly what I'm happy with is that Aliquippa gets to stay in Beaver County. And you're not asking them to go to Pittsburgh to play all those schools.
But overall,
that was the big mistake.
The whole crux of it, you're not buying coaches saying, well, we don't like them because they're coming from Division 1A or 2A.
No.
It shouldn't matter, should it? If they're good, they're good.
Yeah. I don't buy it. At the end of the day, for me, it's who do you have in front of you? Who's on your schedule, right? And if you're beating them, that's your schedule, right? You're beating your schedule, who you're supposed to beat, right? That's how it comes down to for me, right? It doesn't matter if we could be playing, I'll give an example. We could be playing Hopewell, right? Big rivalry for us, but they're a 3A school, we're a 4A school. Some schmuck in Harrisburg could look at that, us beating out Hopewell, and saying, well, that's a 3A school you guys beat. Or if we played beat Neshannock. It's a beautiful program they got there. Well, you only beat Neshannock. I mean, that's a 2A school and you guys are 4A. That's a bunch of BS for me. You schedule a good schedule. At the end of the day, right, you play who you got to play, right? It doesn't matter who you're going up against. If you win, you win.
EB put a bow on this for us. Does it matter where you come from? Should it matter where you come from as to where you're recruited from?
Doesn't matter where you come from, probably more than it does. Should it? No. Best case in point, I had a girl on my AAU team. She goes to a smaller school, and the college coach goes, I think she would just I wish she could transfer to Salem. I feel like it'd do her better because you guys play better competition. I said, well, that's not happening. First of all, she's an hour and a half away. I go, but are you still interested? He goes, oh, yeah, I just love her game, her intangibles. I said, so that's all that matters, is you love her intangibles, her game, and you pretty much just said you can put her on any team, and she's going to, provide a service or have some ability to be good. I said, so where do they come from? I go, that's not her choice, and maybe necessarily it wasn't exactly her parents. It's just how it all fell together. Or I don't get into that conversation with people why they live where they live, because I really don't care,
right.
Nor should I. So I think it does matter, because let's call a spade here. People from St. V's are going to get a lot more looks than people from, probably Salem, Poland, Canfield. But I'd like to say we all produce some pretty good athletes. So yeah, it matters because of the name. Should it? Absolutely not.
That's going to do it for the majority of our show today on this topic. Gentlemen, as always, a fantastic job because you get it about 5 minutes before we start the show. So you absolutely killed it today. That moves us on to... a little music for it today, boys. It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric, proudly serving the Valley for the last 60 years. So, with that said, let's go to CJ and your spark today, my friend.
So, I got two, and I'll be quick with them, but just because I want to bring up this one topic that I didn't get to. Anytime, and I say this to my kids all the time, we say it to our kids, anytime a coach reaches out to you, please thank them, right? Thank them. Good God, acknowledge that they even made the time to reach out to you, right? We tell our kids that all the time. Not only does it look good on you, because college coaches talk to each other, it looks good on your program, right? Whatever high school program you're in, right? Because now in the future, they'll say, okay, well, those kids are raised right down in Beaver or wherever it may be. I could go down and look at some of their kids, right? So that's the first thing. So anytime a college coach reaches out, please, good God, just acknowledge them, thank them, even if you don't want to go there. The other thing I had, and I'll be brief, was the Hall of Fame announcement, right? It was the other day, so I didn't get to do the show yesterday.
Oh boy.
Right? But I have a thought, right? If you put Big Papi in the Hall of Fame and you don't have Barry Bonds in it, it's illegitimate.
It's not a Hall of Fame.
Period. At the end of the day, right? And I understand the argument. Well, in the museum, he's in the museum. Barry Bonds is obviously because I think his baseball is there when he hit the home run record and all that, right? I get that, but I've always been one that says, listen, you put on his plaque, right? At the end of his plaque, say his career is in question because of his involvement in steroids. And that's all you have to do is just add it, right? It's supposed to be about history, right? So when kids go to the Cooperstown 50 years, 100 years from now, and they have no clue the steroid era, right? They're looking at, okay, well, Barry Bonds has the most home runs ever, and that hasn't been passed in forever, but he's not over there. What's the problem, right? So that's the issue I have, right? I have no problem David Ortiz being in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, right? My issue is, why isn't Barry Bonds in Clemens? Same thing, and I'll add Schilling there too, even though I think he's a schmuck.
Pete Rose. Let's get
and Pete Rose. Yeah.
EB, what do you have?
Positive spark. I'm gonna go. Actually, our team. Yesterday we had team dinner, and there was a accident. One of our players they weren't involved in, but someone that they're associated with it, and their family was. So, and our team dinners, we actually make the girls go out buy food, and they have to put together the dishes. And just kudos to them because she had to leave early to attend some personal things for that accident occurred. And our girls said, look, they're not going to be able to really be home for the next couple of days. So team dinner turned into actually making dinners for them for the next couple of days. So kudos to the girls to, think of it more for their teammate. And, look, nothing a couple pizzas that we couldn't provide to let them do something for one of their teammates.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That's what I'm talking about. That's what a spark is all about. All right, my spark goes out to the Trumbull County Coaches Association, allowing me to come in and speak last night. To them, it was always an honor to speak in front of such a great crowd of coaches and legends of Trumbull County. But I also want to say thank you for incorporating YSN even further and deeper into Trumbull County. So with that said, that is going to do it for our show. A special thanks to our friends right here, CJ and EB, and of course you for taking part in today's show. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on your Sports Network. Bye. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of